And welcome back to This Week in Politics on KSFY. Months of speculation came to an end this past week when former Vice President Joe Biden announced he would enter the 2020 race for the White House. Despite only entering this past week, Biden has been seen as the Democratic frontrunner for a while now, leading many preference polls in the early voting caucus and primary states of Iowa and New Hampshire. Biden's announcement was straightforward, as was the initial response from President Trump. The announcement came in the form of a video released on several social media platforms Thursday morning. It focused heavily on a 2017 rally in Charlottesville, Virginia, where white supremacists marched on the city, which led to violent clashes and the death of one young woman. In the aftermath of Charlottesville, the president commented on both the white supremacists and those who marched against them.
But you also had people that were very fine people on both sides.
And it was that comment that Biden zeroed in on in his announcement video.
Very fine people on both sides? With those words, the President of the United States assigned a moral equivalence between those spreading hate and those with the courage to stand against it. And in that moment, I knew the threat to this nation was unlike any I had ever seen in my lifetime.
Following his online announcement, Biden wasted no time hitting the campaign trail in his home state of Delaware, where he said while others may believe him to be the Democratic frontrunner, he is not buying into it.
You in your message very clearly made this about a debate about President Trump, but you're going to have to get through the Democratic primary first. Why are you the best choice for Democrats?
That'll be for the Democrats to decide.
Biden's announcement prompting a near immediate response by the president on Twitter, who wrote, "Welcome to the race, Sleepy Joe. I only hope you have the intelligence, long in doubt, to wage a successful primary campaign. It will be nasty. You will be dealing with people who truly have some very sick and demented ideas. But if you make it, I will see you at the starting gate." And on Friday morning, a brief exchange between a reporter and the president on the topic of Biden.
Mr. President, how do you beat Joe Biden? I think we beat him easily.
Biden may have some work to do to shore up support with female voters. 28 years ago, he was chairman of the Senate Judiciary Committee, presiding over the confirmation of now Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas, when a former Thomas associate, Anita Hill, claimed she had been harassed by Thomas. Many believe Biden was disrespectful of Hill during those hearings. Biden's communications director says he and Hill have spoken in recent weeks.
Has he privately apologized to Anita Hill?
So I'm not going to get into their private discussions, but they have spoken.
Recently?
And I'll leave it at that.
They've spoken recently?
I will leave it at that.
Have they spoken since he last made his remarks last month?
I'm not going to set a timeline on it. It was a private discussion, but they have spoken.
Anita Hill telling the New York Times that the two did talk, but that the discussion left her dissatisfied. Former Congresswoman Pat Schroeder says she needs to see more to show her that Biden is respectful of women.
I really want to know that he sees women as equals. I mean, not just saying it, but he really works with them as equals, respects their opinion as equals, doesn't see them as strangers, and doesn't kind of dismiss them as, well, you can't get in the gym, and obviously that's where the guys make all the decisions. You know, that kind of thing really bothered me.
And already Biden's Democratic presidential rivals are taking aim. In Cedar Rapids, Iowa, Elizabeth Warren, upset with what she says is Biden's history of siding with big banks.
Our disagreement is a matter of public record. At a time when the biggest financial institutions in this country were trying to put the squeeze on millions of hardworking families who were in bankruptcy because of medical problems, job losses, divorce, and death in the family, there was nobody to stand up for them. I got in that fight because they just didn't have anyone. And Joe Biden was on the side of the credit card companies. It's all a matter of public record.
The Biden camp knew there would be issues to address, but in the early caucus and primary states of Iowa and New Hampshire, Biden is the favorite among likely Democratic voters. And in a crowded field of now 20 Democratic presidential candidates, Biden is clearly the most well-known.
How does it feel to be the front runner?
Well, it's real early. I tell you what, the issue is going to be who, not only who can win this, but who's the best person to lead the country. And that's what it's going to be all about. And it's going to be for the voters to decide that.